Happy Southern Festival of Books from the Blount County Public Library. We reached the milestone of 100 years of library service in 2019. Can you guess which 3 photos are of our library, both past and present? We are big on celebrating our history. The murals included are tributes to our musical roots and 100 years of women's suffrage and Tennessee's place in history ratifying the 19th Amendment. Our surrounding. Our views and weather change about every 15 minutes, so it is never dull and always beautiful. Our community. A good yarn to tell and a wonderful place to spin it. Blount County welcomes and supports. But don't take our word for it. After the festival, consider swinging by for a visit.
Hi, my name is Allison Quintanilla Plattsmier. I hope you're enjoying the Southern Festival of Books. Today, it is my honor to introduce to you Josh Floyd of IngramSpark. Josh promotes the growth, sales, and brand of the IngramSpark platform to independent authors and publishers, along with providing education to the industry on how best to utilize Ingram's publish-on-demand services for bringing a new book to market or for breathing life into an out-of-print title. Josh received his Bachelor of Science degree in Engineering Technology and Industrial Studies and a minor in Business Administration from Middle Tennessee State University. Please welcome Josh Floyd.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this virtual presentation on IngramSpark, brought to you by the Southern Festival of Books, who we're very proud to be a partner with and sponsor and participate in these sessions. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen, and we're going to walk through a PowerPoint on what Ingram is, what a wholesale model is, and what IngramSpark, how IngramSpark fits into that model. So give me just a second to share my screen. All right, hopefully all of you are seeing the presentation. You should see a slide that says distribute like a pro. So what we're going to go through today is Ingram, print on demand, metadata, and some bookstore and retail insights to help you be, more professional publishers. So as Allison mentioned, there was my bio. So what is Ingram and what is a wholesale model? Ingram is one of the world's largest and most trusted wholesaler and distributor of books. As you can see in the circles here, the way it works is Ingram works as a wholesaler in the middle of the industry. Excuse me, it's going on its own. What you see there is Ingram is in the middle of the industry. So we have publishers, both traditional and indie publishers who add their titles into the Ingram distribution system. And what that allows for is retailers and libraries to purchase any title they need from Ingram. So it could be a Simon & Schuster title. It could be a Penguin Random House title. It could be one of your indie author titles. But with Ingram housing all these books, as you see there, we have over 13 million titles that are available from Ingram that these retailers and libraries and online retailers can purchase on any given day across the world. And forgive me for the slides going back and forth. It's kind of taken off on its own. But the way it works is the publishers upload their content or deliver their content to Ingram, and Ingram makes that content available to the retailers and libraries to purchase. So like I said, they can purchase all publishers' titles on one invoice and a one-stop shop. So how IngramSpark works into the Ingram ecosystem. So IngramSpark is the service that we created as a print-on-demand service for indie authors and publishers to get their books into Ingram's network. Typically, you had to be a traditional publisher of certain size to have your books available through Ingram. But with IngramSpark, it gives you a one-stop platform to do both your print and ebook distribution to the retail market. And what happens is when you actually open an IngramSpark account, you are the publisher. So you control the list price that's set, you control the discount that is set, and you control the return options that are set on your title, whether you want it to be returnable or non-returnable. The beauty of print on demand is that the content is always available. So your book is never out of stock and it's always available for order in a virtual world or digital print world, meaning that the books are not printed beforehand. We print the books as soon as the orders come in, whether they come in from the market, which is a retailer or a library, or whether you place an order for your own books to be printed and shipped wherever you need them to go. Ingram has the widest global reach of any of the wholesalers. So we have over 39,000 retailers and libraries that order from Ingram around the world on any given day. And we're the largest network of online retailers like Amazon, Apple, Kobo, BNN.com. With our ebook distribution, we have almost 100 different retail outlets that your ebooks will be made available for distribution and that your readers can purchase from, with Ingram fulfilling those orders. So POD and distribution. POD stands for print on demand. So how it works is you set up a free IngramSpark account. Once you have your account open, then you're able to upload your content. So you would upload your print book or your ebook files to your IngramSpark account. You'll need an ISBN if you want to make it available to the world for distribution. You can set your books up for pre-orders, and we have global markets. So your books can be made available in the UK, Australia, which we own our print facilities. So we own our print facilities in the US, UK, and Australia. And then we have what we call Global Connect, which is our network of printers across the world, making your books available to over 200 states, countries, and provinces around the world. Once your book is up and ready, available for print in your IngramSpark account, you can then turn it on for distribution, meaning your book will then appear at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and be made available through IPAGE, which is the ordering system that bookstores and libraries across the world use to order their books from Ingram. So what will happen is you upload your title, you've got your books ready for print, then you're going to add your metadata. So your metadata will go through in just a second. And then there again, the 39,000 plus customers that Ingram caters to will have access to purchasing your book. And what will happen is Ingram uses print on demand. As we mentioned, the books are not printed until they are ordered either by a retailer, a library, or yourself. And then we deliver the print books in ebooks to the retailers that place the order. And then Ingram pays you for the sale that took place. So you don't have to do any of the picking, packing, shipping, or any of that. You're just making your book available, and you're taking in what we call publisher compensation every time that book sells to the market. Things to know about distribution. Distribution takes some time depending on the distribution partner you have. You still have to market your book so people know where to buy your book. So the best way to think about IngramSpark is we're the guys and gals in the warehouse printing, picking, packing, and shipping the books where they need to go, freeing you up as the publisher to create, market, and sell your titles anywhere in the world. Excuse me. So what you would want to do is if you were talking to a bookseller or a librarian who said, hey, I would like to carry your book, where can I get it? You would let them know that it's available from Ingram, and they would understand what that means. If you were talking to a reader that was interested in buying your book, then you would tell them to go to their local independent bookstore, big box store, or online retailer to purchase your book as the reader, as consumer of the content. Ingram is not directly selling your book into stores, so we're not actively selling your titles. We're just making them available for sale. So there again, you would be out, beating the streets, doing your marketing, and getting people interested in buying your book. And the best thing about print on demand is changes to metadata like pricing are sent out in our data feeds immediately. So if you update your pricing, if you update your discount, your return status, if you get a new blurb that you want to put on your front cover, you can upload a new cover with that blurb that's on there. And then the very next book that is printed will have that blurb on there. So your book always has the most up-to-date metadata and the most up-to-date information that's available. Pre-distribution advice for indie authors. Work with professionals if you want a professional book. With print on demand, that frees you up to not spend your money on quantity, but quality. If you have you need to have your books professionally edited, and you want to have a professional cover designer. We always say that a book's not, you don't judge a book by its cover, but you actually do. When you're in a retail outlet or a library, the cover is what grabs your attention first to pick that book up. So you definitely want to spend your money on working with professionals who can do the things that you are unable to do. Go with standard binding and trim size. Bookstores and libraries have shelves that are built a certain way. So if you're, writing a novel or, a fiction title, then you definitely want to go with the industry standard 5x8, 5.5 by 8.5, or 6x9. If If you're doing a children's book, children's illustrated book, then you would like to do a 7x10 or 8.5x11. You want to stay within those standard trim sizes so that the stores and libraries can put them on the shelves where they need to go. Use social media to build an author platform. Social media is extremely, extremely useful in selling books. Some of our best producing authors have fantastic interaction with their readerships through social media. You don't know how readers prefer to purchase your book, so use the widest distribution options available. That's one of the things that's best about Ingram, is that they have the widest reach for distribution of your print and ebooks. So you definitely want to make sure your book is listed with Ingram. We're non-exclusive as IngramSpark, so you can use us and any other service you like, but you definitely want to be utilizing IngramSpark so that your books are available everywhere in the world. And then network professionally by joining author organizations, writers groups. You're already doing that kind of now with the Southern Festival of Books. So this is what you are. If we were all in the same room together, you'd be sitting with your peers, other authors who are also going through the process the same as you. And so anytime you get the opportunity to connect with anybody else that's a peer or author or publisher going through the same work that you are, it's just really good to connect so you can learn from one another and then share your readerships with one another. And then, and there again, I'm sorry about the PowerPoint. And there again, have great metadata. So we're going to talk about metadata and what that is. So metadata, what is it? Does it matter? The answer is yes, absolutely. So metadata is all these different points that you see here, whether it's the book title, author name, your author bio, your BISAC codes, your keywords, your reviews, your blurbs, your pricing for the global markets and the US market as well. Your print attributes, the size of the book, the number of pages, whether it's a color interior, black and white interior, your retail price, your discount, all that good stuff is return status. All of that is included in your metadata that is digitally sent out to retailers across the world, so they have all the information they need to sell your book. And good metadata matters. You want to have a concise, unique title. You want to have a robust description, starting with an elevator pitch. Your description could be very lengthy if you like, but you definitely want to have a pitch about why I should buy your title in 2 minutes or less. You want to have your contributors listed. You want to have your genre, your BISAC category. We need to know what readers this book has been created for, so that that retailers can better sell it to those readers, or that genre class, or the reader readership that should be following. So if it's a juvenile title, be sure to put that it is a juvenile title. If it's more for adults, then you put that age range in there so they know exactly who this book is intended for. And then you want to list the most specific audience, as I mentioned there. Series, if you got it, use it. If you've got a series, it's a great way to introduce yourself as a debut author, because it gives people the opportunity to read more than just one piece of your work. It gives the readers the opportunity to see what kind of writer you are and, just get more involved in your writing. And then keywords, they should be relevant. You want to have at least 7 to 11 keywords per title. So for instance, if your book was, about storms, then you would want to have the most recent hurricanes listed, so that as part of your keywords, so that when people are searching this online, they're searching out, the most recent storms, your book is being pulled into that metadata feed and is appearing to these authors or to these readers while they're doing their searching. Metadata equals discoverability. This is why it's so important. The more information you can put in your metadata, the better off you're going to be at getting your book found. And that's where I was talking about the storms and, being the most current relevant information in your keywords, because as you see here, we're looking at Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. A bad example is only having one subject line, religion. Whereas on the second one that you see here, we're going to do 3 different subject lines. So you're going to have religion, theology, philosophy. So you're really drilling into very, very much specifics on what that book is, what it's about. And that way, when people are searching for these very specific attributes, your book is being fed into that metadata stream. Here's an example of IPAGE. So IPAGE is the ordering interface that bookstores and retailers and libraries across the world use to order their book from Ingram. And as you can see, there again, I'm sorry. As you can see on this page, all the metadata attributes are there. The ISBN's there, the title, the author name, the publishing house, the discount that's listed, the price of the book, the return status. All that information is there. And at the bottom, you can see where the marketing and the biographical information is added. So as a bookseller or a librarian, when I pull this up in iPage, pull your title up, I have every piece of information that I could possibly have on this title to let me know if it is a book that I want to bring in and to help me sell it when I do bring it in. Here's an example of the books being listed at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. I mentioned it, once you upload your title to IngramSpark and you turn the book on for distribution, we will automatically upload your titles to Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com, as you see in these pictures here, and make the book available for purchase. Anybody that goes to these sites to order the book, Ingram will fulfill those orders on your behalf. So let's talk about setting your book up for success. What you need to consider when pricing your book there's three really important categories here. Where do your readers consume your books? Are they buying them at bookstores and libraries? Are they buying them at online retailers? Are they reading them on e-readers? Are you selling them yourself on your website? You want to make sure your books are available everywhere that consumers can buy your book. You also want to consider manufacturing costs when you're setting up your retail price. So for instance, think about the pre-production. Think about how much you spend on a design, how much you spend on editing, how much you spend on getting that book created. And then that way you have an idea of what you need to sell the book at so that you can start recouping a lot of that money. Think about the print costs. With print on demand, it's traditionally a little bit higher in per unit cost because you're not buying big bulk loads of the books at one time. So you want to consider, okay, if I'm doing a print on demand title, I may need to price it $1 or $2 higher than I normally would, just so that I'm covering my print costs. And then if you're doing, fulfilling orders yourself, what we call publisher direct orders, where you're actually ordering the books for yourself from us as the printer and selling them yourself or shipping them yourself, you want to consider all those costs that go into that. And that's what we consider our operational costs for you. So that would be the shipping cost. That would be the storage cost. That would be your shipping, your postage cost. That would be boxes, labels, packing, time. All of that should be considered when you're thinking about the retail price for your book. And it'll probably be in the next slide. But one of the things I always say, if you're not really sure what to price your book at, go to your local bookstore and go to the shelf where your book would actually sit and look at what we call comp titles, which is what we're going to talk about here on the next one. Comp titles are comparable books to yours. These are books that you want to check and see. So you would go to the shelf that your book would sit on. You would pull out books that are very similar to yours in page count, in size, in content. You'll want to look at those books and kind of lay them out and say, okay, I've got a paperback 200-page juvenile fiction. So I want to go to the shelf that my book will be sitting on. And I'm going to pull out books that are extremely similar to mine and all those characteristics. And then I'm going to look at the price range. I'm going to look at the lowest price title and I'm going to look at the highest price title. You definitely don't want to be on the lower end of the spectrum because you don't want to devalue your content. So when I look at the range of titles, I'm going to say, okay, here's the lowest priced, here's the highest priced. I want to be somewhere in this range. I don't want to be the lowest cost, but I also don't want to price it so high that I'm outside the range of what people are normally paying to get this type of books. So you want to compare your paperback to paperbacks, your hardcovers to hardcovers. You want to compare the retail price, not the discounted price. A lot of times you go online or you go into a bookstore and they've actually discounted the retail price from what the suggested retail price was so that they can entice people to buy the book. So when you're looking at these other books, look at the actual retail price of the book and not the discounted price. Terms, you want to make your paperback, your retail edition. You want to have what we call a full trade discount and returnable status. In the IngramSpark world, a full trade discount is a 53% discount. So when you're setting up your title, there's a field that'll say, what do you want your market discount to be? Well, if you're going to be out actively promoting and pitching your title to independent bookstores and libraries, then you'll want to put a 53% discount in your IngramSpark account on that book. And what that does, it allows for the retailer, when they order the book from Ingram, to get their same normal discount from Ingram that they're used to getting on every publisher's title, whether it's one of the big five, a mid-sized publisher, or even an indie author. By putting that 53%, what you're saying is, hey, retailer, hey, library, here is a full trade discount for this title. It should be no different than any other book that you're ordering. And then returnable status. So within IngramSpark, you can set the book as returnable or non-returnable. And it's really important if you're going to be out promoting your book to independent bookstores to make that book returnable. That's one of the criteria that bookstores have on titles. And that's just basically to cover themselves in that if they bring that book in and try it, and you're unable to send any readers to the store to purchase that book, or nobody goes in and purchases that book, the bookstore needs to be able to return that book to Ingram so that they can recoup some of the money they spent on it and bring in a title that will sell. So some tips for success, especially when you're working with retailers and libraries. Don't talk about how well your book does on Amazon. Amazon does not translate into foot traffic or physical retail traffic. So when you're talking to the bookstores about, it's okay to talk about how great your book is doing in the market, but you really want to talk about is how you're going to drive readers to the store to purchase this book, what your marketing efforts are to say, hey, my books are available at independent bookstores and libraries. Here's where they're at. Please come in and support your local communities by purchasing them from the bookstores. Another attribute of success would be, once a store agrees to put your book on the shelf, send customers to the store. If you're lucky enough to talk to a bookseller who says, hey, yeah, we would love to carry your title, the content is exactly what our readership would be looking for, then you want to make sure you are sending everybody you possibly can to that store to purchase the book, so that it does build a sales history and you build a nice working relationship with that bookstore. That way they're much more likely to bring in the next title that you create. Direct your readers to local bookstores' websites as the first online listing. Amazon does not need your help getting foot traffic. They have their own methods of driving people to Amazon. But your local independent bookstores and libraries definitely need your help in driving foot traffic and sales to their establishments. So one of the best practices I've seen is when an author wants to support their local independent bookstore in their marketing materials or any of their social media blasts they're sending out, they actually list that independent bookstore's website as the place to purchase the book online. That way you are keeping your money in your community and you're supporting local efforts. The next part of success, direct your listing anywhere books are sold. So another big piece of the marketing that happens is everybody will list Amazon as the place to buy their book, which is fine to have that listed in your materials, but you're also discrediting or leaving out many other factors or many other entities within the book publishing industry. So whenever you're going out and marketing your book or talking to readers or doing social media, it's always best to list anywhere books are sold, so that person is also going to their bookstores or their libraries or their Barnes and Nobles to purchase your book. And that way it gives you the most widest reach, and it shows a lot of savviness to independent bookstores when you're talking to them or sending them materials and they say, okay, this person understands that Amazon is not the only place to sell books, and that they understand that we need their help too. It's just a really savvy move to include everybody. So a colleague of mine, Justine, calls it market agnostic. Make sure that your books are available everywhere and you're sending them everywhere and sending your readers everywhere to buy the books. So in summary, know the market in which you're promoting your title. Know the proper formats and terms. I mentioned earlier that if you're going to be promoting your book to independent bookstores, then you need to set that full trade discount of 53% and return status. If you're only going to be sending people online to buy your book, then you can get away with a smaller discount, but just understand that when you do talk to a bookstore, they're going to want their normal discount. So it's just knowing your market and being prepared to set your book up for that market. Make sure your titles address all the key attributes and has the most up-to-date metadata there. Again, if you've got a new blurb, you got a review, or something happens in the news that can be directly related to your book, make sure you're going back into your metadata and adding that to your description, adding that to your keywords, or updating your cover with a new review or new blurb so that you have the most up-to-date information going out. Ensure your titles are listed everywhere. There again, with IngramSpark and going through Ingram, your books will be listed in all markets and available to anybody to purchase. And there, the next point, you see the metadata again. The metadata is the most important attribute to having your book being discovered. I cannot stress that enough. And then finally, work your tail off and give them the opportunity and support your local bookstores and libraries at every turn. A lot of people, when they first write their book, they'll give their first they'll print off 10 or 20 copies and give them to their family members so that their family members have them. Well, what you're really doing is kind of hurting yourself with that. Your family members should be the one that's supporting you and supporting your efforts. So instead of giving those books for free to your family members, I would suggest that you tell them, hey, go to your local bookstore, go to your local library, request my book, order my book, buy it, so that you are developing, a small fire there that can really blaze. And what I mean by that is all of a sudden you're priming the pump. You have people who are out buying your books. It gets on the radars. Booksellers are retailers. If they start selling a book and they notice that 3 or 4 people have come in from the past week to order a title, they may not know what that title is or why it's selling, but they know they're selling it. So they'll be much more likely to say, hey, we've sold this 4 or 5 times this week. We've had to special order each time. Let's bring in a copy or 2 to keep on the shelf just in case this book, continues to sell like it is. So with IngramSpark, just a little bit of information, it's free to open the account. All you'll need is your checking account, which is where we directly deposit any of your publisher compensation for sales that takes place in the market. You'll need your credit card. So any transaction you do with IngramSpark is credit card based. So any books that you order for yourself or any services that you render through IngramSpark will be charged to the credit card that you have on file. And then next, you'll want to upload your title. So typically it's $49 one-time fee to upload a print book, $25 one-time fee to upload an ebook. But with this promo code that you see here, and normally we're hosting this session at the Nashville Public Library, so I want to make sure the libraries get credit for this, but you see that free title setup promo code, and I'll go back to it. So for what that is that promo code library, all caps. When you're going through the IngramSpark title upload process, you'll go through, you'll upload your files, you'll put in all your metadata fields, and then on the last page of that setup process, it'll ask if you have a promo code. In that promo code box, type library, all caps, and that'll waive the $49 setup fee for your print books and waive the $25 setup fee for your ebooks. So therefore, now it's free to open the account and free to upload your titles, and you really wouldn't be paying us anything unless you had some revisions or you actually place orders for your book yourself to be printed and shipped anywhere that you need them to. Also, one of the beauties of print on demand, especially through Ingram, is that you have the ability to order the books for yourself, but we can have them printed and shipped anywhere in the world. So say, for instance, I've written a title that I know I've made friends with a teacher in Florida, and I'm here in Tennessee. Well, the teacher wants to carry my title, either for her class projects or, anything that she's doing part of her curriculum. And she says, hey, I'd like to have 20 copies of your book. I can actually go into my IngramSpark account, place an order for 20 copies to be print and shipped to that teacher's address. And it goes in a box that's unmarked. It doesn't say Ingram. It doesn't say IngramSpark. It just goes in an unmarked box that basically looks like it came from your publishing warehouse. And in that scenario, what I would do is say, okay, I've just sold 20 books to this teacher in Florida, so I'm going to place an order for 20 copies to be delivered to this address. And what I would happen to me as a publisher, I would pay for the printing and shipping of that order. And then I would charge that teacher outside of, anything IngramSpark related, whatever invoice I need to charge that teacher. And that would be between me and the teacher. So therefore I made a retail sell to somebody and I only paid print plus shipping. And then I made all the money, all the money that I invoiced that teacher for. So if you got 20 copies of a $10 book, all of a sudden that's $200 that you charge the teacher. So it's not, we are simply just printing and shipping the books where they need to go. So whatever models or methods you come up with for selling your books, we're there just to print and ship and help you out as your back end. And then on the last page here, this is connect with us. So you can go to ingramspark.com. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have education, free education that's available on the website. So without even opening an account, you can go to ingramspark.com. You can click on resources. What we have there is we have our blog, which is contributed to by industry professionals from all different aspects of the industry. So it's not just people from Ingram writing these blogs. We tap into editors, designers, industry professionals who are really good at what they do and have them contribute to our blog. We also have our podcast that's hosted by Robin Cutler and Justine Bilo, two colleagues of mine. And what they actually do is the podcast, which is available anywhere podcasts are listened to. So anywhere that you prefer to listen to your podcast, you can find it. The podcast is called Go Publish Yourself. And what they are is we do 15-minute bursts where we bring in an industry professional to talk very specifically about one topic. It could be metadata. It could be how to sell your books to libraries, how to sell your books to bookstores. We've done 5 seasons of podcasts. So there's a lot of information that's there coming directly from the mouths of successful industry professionals and successful authors. Part of our Spotlight series in the podcast is where we actually interview independent authors who have done extremely well. And they talk about the services they've used, how they got to where they're at. So there's a lot of good information in there. And then we have what we call the IngramSpark Academy. And this is something our marketing team put together. And what it is, it's basically an online college-style publishing class that you can take. You can learn about how to build a readership. You can learn about how to build an author website. You can learn about metadata. And what it is this actual curriculum that you go in, you read, you learn, there's quizzes at the end. So it's very much set up as a college style education series, which is free for you to go into and utilize. So there again, all that is available at IngramSpark.com. IngramSpark is a DIY platform, a do-it-yourself platform. So you are the publisher. You go in, you can learn everything that you want to learn, listen to what you want to listen to, and then upload your content and start getting it available to the world. And that's about all I have. There again, I'm extremely sorry about the PowerPoint presentation going on its own there. So that was unexpected. All right, let's see. So we got a couple questions here in the chat. Let's go with, so do you get feedback from customers about whether they prefer to buy from independent or local bookstores or Amazon? If so, do customers have a negative perception of Amazon? Yeah, we have a lot of information that shows where customers are buying their books, but really it's just up to the reader themselves. That's why it's so important to have your books available everywhere. So by going through Ingram, your books are available to the bookstores, to the libraries, and to Amazon and to Barnes & Noble. And so it's it really is just a preference of the reader where they like to buy their books. During COVID times, we've actually seen a great uptick in sales going through independent bookstores' websites. So people are still wanting to support their local communities without actually being able to go out and go into the stores. So it really is just depends on the reader and where they prefer to buy their books. Next question, does Ingram connect authors with graphic designers for book covers or editors? Do you help authors with those connections? Great question. So we don't actually offer, so within IngramSpark, we have what is called Book Builder. And this is actually a design tool where you as an author can go in and start writing freshly in the tool, or you can upload your Word file to the tool and it'll automatically populate. And what Book Builder allows you to do is to go in, write your book, actually format the files. You can upload your cover images and create your own cover. And it's a tool that's within IngramSpark system so that once you're done using it and you've created your book in Book Builder, you can just literally hit export files and it'll send print ready print and interior and cover files through the IngramSpark system into your account. Also, if that's still a little too much for you to do, if you go to IngramSpark.com, click on resources and then the experts, what we have there is a list of experts who offer the services that we do not. So we don't offer any editing or any design services through IngramSpark. But what we do is we actually go out and find industry service providers who are really good at what they do. We vet them to make sure they're non-predatory and that they deliver really good work. And so if you go to the experts page there again, go to IngramSpark.com, click on resources, and then click on the experts, you'll find editing help. You'll find design help. You'll find interior file help. You'll find marketing and publicity help. So we have a lot of marketing and publicity companies listed on there that can help make your book available, make your book available to the market. Well, not make available, but let the market know that your book is available for purchase. So anything that you really do need help with that you can't do yourself, as we mentioned, spend your money on working with somebody who is really good at what they do and go to that experts page and find one that works best for you. How long should an author market their book after it's been available on the market for some time? Okay. All right, here's a question. So how long should an author market their book after the book's been available on the market for some time? Is there a recommended timeline? Not necessarily. It's just you should always be marketing your titles. You should always be promoting your book. And I'll tell you, one of the best ways to actually sell your book is not you telling people about it. It's word of mouth. So you want other people telling about it. That's why I say it's so important to actually connect with other authors, because the best way for me to sell my title is to have Hillary, the other author over here, recommending my book to her readership, where I'm recommending Hillary's book to mine. So it's not me as the creator of the content saying, hey, buy my book. It's somebody else saying, hey, I've read this book and it's really good. So being able to connect and network with authors there again is really important, because you can use each other to help promote your title and sell your titles. And there's no recommended timeline. As long as the book is available, you should be, it should be known that it's out there, and especially if the content is relevant. So a lot of times what will happen is I'll see a title popping within our systems and I'll go back and look at it, and the book was actually printed in or created in 2015, but something has happened currently that has made that book's content relevant again, and all of a sudden it starts selling. So there again, that kind of leads me back to the metadata and why it's so important to have the most current, up-to-date, accurate metadata that you can possibly have within that title. All right, so that looks to be the last question. Thank you all for bearing with me during that PowerPoint. That was a little odd, but I thank you all again for joining us. I thank you, the Southern Festival of Books, for having IngramSpark come in and participate, and we look forward to hearing from you. So please don't hesitate to go to the website, and when you do, open your account, or if you have questions within the website, there's a form you can fill out. We have a customer support team that will answer your questions, and you can, figure out more about IngramSpark. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.